Next, we have my album, which is called Pogs and Marbles, Playing for Keeps.
Hell yeah, I love Pogs.
Do you really? You know Pogs?
Yeah, with Slammers, I had the best Slammers around, dog.
Dude, I'll play you any day of the week, bro.
Fuck you up.
For keeps, though.
For keeps.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Monarch Social Podcast, where we discuss all things digital media marketing. Today, we have on our show Mr. GreenEyez Loko.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, dude. First off, tell us who you are and what you're all about.
So I'm GreenEyez Loko, of course. Born and raised California. Moved out to Utah almost 10 years ago and just kind of seen that there wasn't really a huge music industry. And so I kind of just captivated on what we were doing already in the Bay Area and just kind of tried to emulate that and do it my own kind of way out here.
And GreenEyez is a signed artist here with ReScope Records.
Yes.
Awesome. In the Bay Area, where'd you grow up there? I lived there for a few years.
So I grew up in San Jose, California.
Oh, in San Jose?
Yeah.
Dude, I lived in the ghetto Vallejo.
Oh, Vallejo? Yeah, it's pretty ghetto out there.
Dude, I had helicopters outside I had like it was like a split duplex thing in Vallejo. But, dude, we had, I can talk about everything there. Like, it's the craziest place. I was there doing stuff for Vivint. I was doing alarm systems for Vivint. I was actually like a installer.
Okay.
And so they put me there. But the Bay Area is rough, dude.
Dude, yes, for sure.
What brought you to Utah?
So originally it was me being on the run.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was like ducking and dodging court cases and, you know, just living on the reckless side. And my sister actually moved out to Utah, and she kept on telling me that, like, how beautiful it was and how easy it was to find work. And if I moved out here, that I'd be able to, like, get my life back on track and all this. Like, basically sold it to me, you know what I mean?
She's like, the grass is greener over here, brother.
Oh, the mountains are bigger.
The mountains are bigger.
And so I was like, all right, well, I don't really have nothing to lose. So I moved out here in 2016 and forgot I was on the run because I was already working. I was already, like, meeting people and starting to get into music and stuff like that. And one day I come home from work and the marshals are there waiting for me.
They're like,
and yeah,
time's up, bud.
Exactly. They're like, you already know why we're here. So I went back to California, not on my own will, of course, you know. And I went to court, and the judge was basically like, dude, the charge you caught is legal now. So it's not even an arrestable offense. You were on the run for 3 years for this.
Hell yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? He's like, well, you just spent a bunch of time in prisons and stuff like that. And so I'm willing to make a deal with you. And I'm like, okay, I'm all ears, you know. He's like, if you go back to Utah and I never see you again, I will not only drop these charges, but I'll drop all your felonies to misdemeanors.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, I'll be out of here tonight. Like, as soon as you release me, I'm out of here.
You're like, I'm back on the road.
Yes. And so they released me. And it was funny because when I got released, I went to get my belongings, and it was still out here in Utah. So now I'm out in California with no clothes.
Like with nothing.
Nothing.
Shirt on your back, and that's about it.
Well, here's the funny part is they gave me somebody else's clothes that were, like, left there. And, like, so I'm wearing, like, this small-ass hoodie, some tiny sweats, and some shoes that don't even
it's like
fit
a cut-off
right?
shirt.
Yeah.
So tiny.
Like, I'm super embarrassed when I got out, but I was just ready to go, you know? So I made the phone call. I got out, made the phone call, and I was back in Utah the next morning, and I haven't left since.
That's awesome, dude. Let's talk about the music side of things. Obviously, you're an artist. How did you get started in the music industry?
So I started in about 8th grade. The school took us to, like, the library in the school or whatever, and I seen this book by Tupac, and it was called The Rose That Grew from Concrete. And so I sat there, and the cool thing about this book was it not only was, like, typed out in book format, but on each page it had his handwritten
that's rad.
Notes for that song or for those poems and stuff. It was all poems. And I was like, man, this is dope to actually see the way he wrote what he was expressing, and then to see, like, the commercialized part of it. You know what I mean? Like he took something so ghetto looking and scribbles and all this bullshit looking stuff and turned it into beautiful works of art, you know?
Yeah.
So I started writing poetry in 8th grade. You know, I was really good with writing and language arts and stuff like that. So I wasn't really too much into music. Like, of course, I listen to music, but I wasn't planning on writing music or even making music. It happened in my freshman year. I started going to, like, group homes and foster care and stuff like that, and was, like, on the brink of going to juvenile hall and just living wild. You know, I was super rebellious for no reason. And I was listening to a song by Brother Lynch, and it was Season of the Sick. And just the way he delivered it, I was like, damn, that's dope. I want to see how he wrote that. So I started writing down his lyrics, and I learned how to write bars. And I was like, dude, it's just like poetry, except for he's rapping it faster and he's saying it with rhythm. And so I was in a circle of friends one time, and they were all freestyling, and I just took like a week writing this dude's whole song out, so I knew it word for word. So I was like, all right, now's my chance to rap. It was my turn. I spit the whole song, and everybody thought it was my song because of the way I delivered it and how I was rapping it. And then I was like, dude, that was Brother Lynch. Like,
you just like made it your own style.
Yeah, I just made it my own, but I knew it word for word. So to people around me, it sounded like I just came up with the sickest song ever. And the reaction I got from people after I spit that was like, damn, I kind of like that feeling. You got that little bit of praise, you know what I mean?
You're like, you got the, what's it called? Like, you got stung by it, you know? Like, oh, you got the taste of it.
And from there on, and that was summer of, I don't even know what year, but I was 14 years old. And after that, I started taking my poetry to the next level. I learned how to do formats for songs, hooks, verses, choruses, and stuff like that. And just me and my cousin started selling weed to get the money to buy our first studio. And the rest is history.
Wait, so when you came to Utah, you had already been in the scene in the Bay Area and everything?
So
not like the music scene?
Not so much the scene. There wasn't really a scene. It was more of just everybody just rapping.
It's just like a lifestyle.
It was just a thing that everybody, it was like tying your shoes.
Okay.
Everybody's rapping, everybody's growing weed. And so the culture was already there. I just had to find a way to incorporate myself into the culture without being a biter, without doing what someone else is doing. So, like, the first couple of years of me making music was super influenced by Bay Area rappers.
Like who?
Like Too Short, Jay Stalin, Mac Dre, E40, Keek the Sneak, Turf Talk. Who else? Mr. Fab.
Those were like your major influences on how you write songs and how you perform?
Definitely, because they were more like storytellers of what was actually going on in the Bay Area, but at the same time, somebody from the East Coast could listen to it and relate just because of how real it was. And so, and somebody told me when I was younger, like, it doesn't matter what you're saying, it's how you say it. And so I was like, all right, well, I already got the storytelling part down. Let me practice on how I'm going to say this.
Yeah, like the delivery.
The delivery, and that's how I came up with, my flow is not really uniform. I never rap the same on any songs, so it's like I kind of take a little bit of what I hear and incorporate what I've already heard and make it my own.
So once you get back from Utah, sorry, my phone keeps blowing up in my pocket. When you get back from Utah, from your court case and everything, what was it like going from that scene in San Jose Bay Area, that type of culture? Now you're in smack dab Salt Lake City, Utah, baby. What was that like, and how did you get into the music scene here?
It was a huge adjustment for me, definitely, because the pace in California, period, is super rapid. Like, you slack off one bit and you're going to get left years behind. And so coming to Utah, I was able to actually create a plan and start taking the steps towards that plan without feeling rushed or feel like I'm being left behind.
What year was this that you started really making a plan?
In 2016.
2016?
Yep. And it all started from that time that I was locked up. I was sitting in Pahrump, Nevada, and when people get down to, like, their lowest, they always look for God, you know what I mean? Or whatever their higher power is.
Higher power,
you know what I mean?
they look for something.
And so I'm sitting in the cell, 24-hour lockdown by myself, and I'm like, damn, the only thing I have in here is a pen and paper. What am I going to do?
Let's write some poetry.
So I
Or
started
bars.
writing songs, and the first thing I did was I wrote a plan. And I took everything that I was doing at that time in the streets and was like, how do I apply this to something positive? How do I turn this around? If I get out of here without doing time or whatever like that, like I was like basically pleading for forgiveness and, you know, a second chance and whatever the case may be. And so I applied everything that I was going through and tried to turn it into a positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I told God, I said, if you let me out of here and you let me back into Utah, I'm going to put all my energy into music fully, because music wasn't something I was pursuing. It was just something I did. And so I was like always pursuing the street life, the fast money, the glory, the glamorous fake lifestyle that people portray, you know what I mean? So when I started applying it to the music, things started happening a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And real opportunities started coming up, and you know, I was overall just like excited about what I was doing. I was happy about stuff. I wasn't looking over my shoulders. And so it just was like, when something feels good, when it feels right, like you kind of tend to stick with that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It became like a drug to me. Like I needed to have this feeling all the time.
I think that, I mean, our listeners are a lot of business owners, you know, and people that are interested in like business. I think it's that same thing. When you get a taste of success and you get a taste of that good life,
exactly,
you follow that. You follow that fucking thing.
There's no reason not to, especially when it's something that's beneficial, you know, not only to your status or your network or your net worth, but spiritually and health-wise. Like the less stress I have, I realize that I'm able to conquer things that I wasn't able to when I was in a dark place.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think we're all glad that you're not there anymore, right?
Oh, for sure.
You're living, you know, a completely different type of life now. Tell me about like your first concert or the first show that you put on, that where you were like, hey, I'm going on stage. You know, if it's a lifestyle in the Bay Area, San Jose, and here now you're getting more into the music, you're writing more songs. What was that first experience like, getting to be on stage and perform for people?
It was actually pretty funny because I never performed in California. So when I got the opportunity to perform out here, I was like, all right, here's my shot to find out if other people are gonna fuck with it or like what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so we go to this club and we do the mic check, all this stuff, right? It's my first time. I'm still nervous, but I'm trying to act like I've been there before, you know?
Yeah, you're like.
And so we do the mic check, whatever, we leave, we go get ready, we come back. And when we come back is when I find out that it's a Latino night.
Oh.
So everybody there's Latino or Mexican, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of Spanish music being played. The other performers were rapping in Spanish. They're like singing corritos, and it's like a complete different vibe. And I'm just like, whoa, what are we doing here? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let's see if they like it, you know? So we performed like 3 songs. It was like 2 songs with some other people, and then we did a song called Like That. And when we did the song, the reaction we got from the crowd was like super shocking to me because they were actually liking it. And like I could tell that some of them didn't really understand what we were saying.
But the beat was there.
The beat was there, the vibe was
delivery.
there, and like our crowd work was there, right?
Yep.
And after the show, like people started rushing towards us like we were celebrities already and wanted to know who we were, and they wanted to follow us. And we didn't even have like a YouTube page or an Instagram or nothing for the group. It was just kind of like we were just doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So that night we were like, dude, we need to come up with a name. We need to come up with a brand or something, you know what I mean?
The business brain gets in where like, hey,
Yes.
people need to find us.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, well, let's go on social media, or how do we get, you know, how do we record our stuff? How do people find us and stuff like that?
And so we were already a group. It was not really a gang. We called it 420 Gang, but it was just a bunch of stoners. Didn't matter where you were from, what you were about. As if you're here to smoke some weed, we're going to smoke some weed, right? So we started going up. There was 5 of us originally. So we started off as the 420 V-Boys. And the V was the 5 because there's 5 of us. So it's 420, 5 boys. You know what I mean? And so I was like, dude, let's just use that name. Like, it's catchy. You know, it has a little ring to it, you know? And we were like, all right, let's do it. So we started creating all these 420 V-Boy pages and Instagrams and a YouTube and all this stuff. And our first time trying to go get onto a show, it was like a competition show. we submitted the name and they denied it.
Mm.
And we're like, why don't they want us on the show? Like, we're hot right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they straight up told us, they're like, it's because you have 420 in your name.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a Mormon state, and like nobody's gonna buy that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like, damn. So we went as GreenEyez, Loko, and Taylo. It was me and Taylo.
Mm.
And they let us on the show. We killed the show. While we were there, we promoted 420 V-Boys on our own, you know, let people know who we were. After that, everybody, they didn't care about the name. They didn't care what we were representing. They wanted us on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So from that first show, doing a Mexican Latino show, to what we do now was just like, I didn't even know what the limits were after that. I was like, damn, this is dope.
How long did the 420 V-Boys like run for? You know, like
Till this day.
till this day. So you're still part of that.
Always.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. It's not really, it became more than what it was after about like 2-3 years. It wasn't just us hanging out, smoking weed anymore. It was us business planning, making our own shirts, trying to get on shows, trying to get on tour management companies and podcasts. And it just started growing and growing and growing. So it turned from a bunch of people just chilling, smoking weed, to a bunch of people chilling, smoking weed, thinking about how we're going to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was a do or die moment. Like, hey, we could either be fucking lowlifes and smoke weed, or we can make something about ourselves and promote weed.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept escalating from there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of changes here in Utah. You know, like
Definitely.
I never thought medical marijuana was going to be before other states in Utah.
And we actually frontline that. We were a part of everything from the very start. We went out campaigning, collecting signatures. We tried to be as involved as we could with the cannabis industry, at the same time the music industry, because with the name like 420 V-Boys, we were like, all right, we can captivate both avenues.
Yeah, both demographics, both you know,
Yep.
parts of where you're going with that.
So we just kind of created that strategy of just promoting music and marijuana, and because these are two things that everybody in Utah, one way or another, is involved in it. Whether you use it, whether you sell it, whether you're a doctor prescribing it, or whether you're just a listener.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, everyone loves music.
Exactly.
Most people, like, you know, they feel the benefits of
Yeah.
medicinal marijuana.
I mean, and that's worldwide. It's not even just Utah.
That's worldwide.
That's worldwide right
That's
now.
worldwide.
Well, there's only one country I think that's completely illegal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what country it is because it don't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't talk about that country.
Yeah, we don't talk about that country. Step your game up.
Yeah, step it up. Okay, so then you're part of 420 V-Boys.
Mhm.
Tell me how you got involved with like ReScope. What was that like?
So it's a full circle, and this is how I knew this is where I was supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing, because when we were doing 420 V-Boys, we were basically funding everything on our own, right? We won't say where the money came from because the feds already took that. But so we were funding our own projects and everything, and we met One Castle Pro, which is RJ.
Okay.
And so
that was his media company,
Yeah.
right? That, yeah. RJ had that media company. I think he showed me some videos that he shot for you guys, like a music video.
Definitely. So we started out with
And Chancey was in it.
Mhm.
Did I remember that right? Yeah, Chancey was in it. It was awesome.
So we
Chancey
started
was on
out
our
with the
podcast
video.
before.
We did one video with RJ, and I remember it being such a huge thing because it looked like it cost $1 million, and it was completely free, just because of who we were and the connections that we made and the friends that were willing to provide, right? So we do this big production, and it comes out huge. People are loving the song, all this stuff. So we told RJ, like, hey, let's do another one. And then COVID hits. And now everything's at a stop still. We're not doing any shows. We're not getting the same reach out that we were before because everything's completely shut down. And we're thinking like, damn, well, that's over with. You know what I mean? That was fun while it lasted. But then we thought about it like, dude, how do we engage with people now that COVID's out? Music videos. So all through 2020, it took a lot of planning, a lot of money and scheduling, a lot of different people that were willing to still come out during COVID. But that entire summer, we shot 4 different locations, and each time we threw like a huge barbecue. It was completely free for everybody to show up, just come support, you know. and we did another video, and this one was even bigger than the first one, and to the point where we were getting reached out from like U92 that they wanted to interview us, but they didn't want to promote 420.
Mm-hmm.
They just wanted us to come as V-boys, and we're like, nah, we're 420 V-boys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out of the question, you know? And so steadily working with RJ, time goes on, you know, he gets into this other company, he's working. We're starting to get more into working. Like now that COVID's opening back up, everybody's trying to get back to work, trying to get money again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of slowed down a little bit, and then RJ ended up losing his position at a company he was at, and they took the cameras and everything back from him. And, you know, he was kind of like, I'm about to go get a 9-to-5 and just do what I got to do. Like, I'm sorry, I can't help you guys, you know? And we were like, fuck that. Like, we'll get you the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get you some cameras, bro, and we'll work it out
Yeah,
later.
because you saw the quality, and you're like, dude,
exactly.
This is that next level of like
not only the
music
quality,
video.
but he was a good dude. You know what I mean?
And for those listening, RJ works here at ReScope Enterprises. He has his hands in a lot of things, but he does a lot of the creative, a lot of the videos, and he's like one of the main people here at ReScope.
Definitely. So. And so time goes on, we do another video. He ends up meeting Brad and Jeff and starts working with them, and his first assignment and his role was finding talent, because now they're starting to discuss the record label and all these other things, right? So of course he reaches out to us. At this time, I'm fighting a charge.
Mm-hmm.
I got caught selling weed in 2020 out here in Utah, and so I'm still fighting this charge. We come in here, we meet with Brad and Jeff, and the deal sounded really good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like their vibe. I like their what they're going for, their vision and all that stuff. I had similar things going on, so I was like, oh, dude, this is right in my realm, and they're basically talking about the same stuff I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was perfect. But I couldn't sign a contract not knowing if I was going to spend the next couple years in prison,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to be free, if, you know, I didn't know the circumstances of my trial yet. And so a couple months go by, you know, I fought the case for about a year. And when I finally was done with the case, I was like, you know what? I'm done working for money that isn't going anywhere, you know what I mean? And all my time that I'm spending away from my family, all this extra stress and stuff, I said, you know what? I'm going to go take this leave. I'm going to go hit these guys up and see if they still got that offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back, and the first thing they said was, what took you so long?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to be real with them. You know, I was like, you know what? I was fighting a case.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what my case was about. It was nothing crazy. I just got caught slipping, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But now I'm on probation. I'm doing what I got to do to get right back to where I was, right? And so RJ brought us in, right? So, like, if it weren't for us meeting RJ back then and continuing to work with them and showing them what we were all really about, then I don't think we would be here right now.
Sure.
So it comes full circle. And what's crazy is now that you see we got RJ here, we have Chance here, we've got Taylor here, we got me here, and even Matila. We met Matila at one of our shows.
Matila works here. She's I don't even know what her title is here, but she does everything.
Yeah, she
does a lot of stuff.
She just makes everything look good, feel good, smell good.
Yeah. She sets up this podcast room for us.
Exactly. So we actually met her at a show, and her first time seeing us, she was like, dude, like, I fucking love you guys' music. Like, you guys are so fucking dope. You know what I mean? And she kind of just stayed around and was like, she became like little sis, you know what I mean? Yeah. She was just always supporting. She was, you know, posting our shows and getting people to come out. And so when ReScope was looking for a model or somebody to do like furnishing and stuff like that,
you hit Matila up.
Hey, Matila, like, you get this dude a call, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So everything just, you know, plays out right.
When did you like officially sign with ReScope Records? When was that?
So I was supposed to sign back in November. Well, last year. And we were already kind of like, Brad and Jeff were already like, you know what? We've got big plans. So give us some time, because we're going to start looking for another spot, a bigger spot. You know what I mean? And so I was like, cool. So I waited another month. Around Christmas time, I hit him up. I said, look, guys, I can't wait no more.
Mm-hmm.
I got songs and I've got stuff that I need to get out there. You either sign me now and we get to work, or I'm going to get to work and you guys are going to have to wait till I'm done. And so it was a no-brainer. They're like, well, dude, fucking come in here Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in, I think it was like the 2nd of January.
Mm-hmm.
Came in, met with them. We discussed the contract. You know, we had a couple little bit changes. You feel me? Had to speak up for myself. Closed mouths never get fed.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to an agreement, and I signed. And 2 weeks later, I got Taylor to sign. And then a couple weeks later, I got New School to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so with things starting to happen that quick, by April, we were already in this building. And now we've got 4 albums dropping this year.
Yeah, when Monarch first came on with these guys and we came to the building, it was like complete renovation here, but I saw the vision, what Jeff and Brad were going for.
Yeah.
You know, and we looked at that recording room and the studio, and we looked at this stuff, and we're like, damn, this is going to be an awesome place.
Dude, and it has been, and I noticed that there's no lack of creativity, because creativity is just like flowing around here like air conditioning.
So, that being said, what do you have going on now? Okay, we're into this year. You signed it in December, and now we've had this year and stuff. Tell our listeners like what you have going on, what projects, what albums, what have you been up to?
Definitely. So it's been a lot of learning so far, because it's no longer just me and my money doing stuff, and I don't really have the full say so anymore.
Well, you have the brand, you know. I think
so
you gotta keep that in mind, of like that brand behind you and how to present yourself.
Exactly. And it's not even hard. It's an adjustment that's good for you. You know what I mean? When you feel uncomfortable, that's how you know you're growing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so being here, it's been challenging, because now I'm learning like the business end of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually see what legally and professionally what goes into the music. And time is definitely the essence, right? So since I've signed, I waited until April to get into the studio and start making this album. That whole time I was writing and making sure I had everything ready, right? And now that we have like copywriting and publishing and masters and all these different things, is no longer like getting beats off of YouTube. So now time comes back into, because now I got to go out shop for beats that I could purchase, and I have to own them and all these different things. But it's been a process that is going to better our future, because now that we know the process, things can run a lot smoother. Like dropping songs, I used to just drop songs. As soon as they were done, put it out there. Who cares, you know? Now I'm like, no, like I need to make sure everything's mine, everything's perfect. I need to make sure it's on every single platform. And so it's been really fun doing that and learning the business. So far we've dropped Skelly Art. Mm-hmm. We've dropped his album, The Beginning. Next we have my album, which is called Pogs and Marbles, Playing for Keeps.
Hell yeah, I love Pogs.
Do you really? You know Pogs?
Yeah, with Slammers, I had the best Slammers around, dog.
Dude, I'll play you any day of the week, bro.
Fuck you up.
For keeps, though.
For keeps.
Yeah, so Pogs and Marbles, I got that name from obviously being from the 90s.
Dude, I had the Pog sleeves, man. I had my tubes. I'd carry those to school, dude. We'd get in trouble at school. Me and my sister, my sister's a year older than me. We'd take our Pogs to school and Slammers and shit, and we'd get them like confiscated because we'd play for candy and shit. Like we were basically gambling with Pogs.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's why I kind of steered towards that, because I was thinking like, dude, I want to be something original, but I want something that reminds people of like the good times, you know what I mean? And still be relatable to this day. Sure. And right now I'm in the mindset where like everything I do is like calculated moves, and I'm playing for keeps right now, you know?
Sure.
So Pogs and Marbles were the 2 games that I remember playing as a kid where we played for keeps.
Yeah.
Where you could literally come outside with your stuff and
Pogs.
go home with nothing.
Yep.
And be mad. And you know what? You would find a way to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And you would come back and I would play you for keeps and I'd get my shit back, plus yours.
Yep. With Pogs and Marbles, I was telling you this story earlier. me and my sister used to have Pogs, right? My brothers did too, but we would have fucking sleeves of them, like the plastic tubes of the different colors. But I can't even remember where we bought Pogs. Did we buy them at like the mall? Did we get them at a store?
That's the crazy thing.
Where did Pogs come from?
Like they just out of thin air.
They came out of thin air. That and Magic cards. Like we used to buy Magic cards all the time too, like the Magic the Gathering. But Pogs were a huge thing, and I remember putting all my Pogs in and be like, I'm going in, you know.
Yeah.
Getting those awesome slammers that we had and slamming hard and hoping for the best, you know?
It's funny because, like, I don't remember where they came from, but I do remember one time me and my sister, we came up on, like, a stack of the sheets. It was, like, cardboard sheets, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it had a bunch of, like, lowriders on it and jokers and all these cool, like, Latino-themed stuff, right? We actually went door to door and we're trying to sell sheets of Pogs for $1.
Yeah,
all the
entrepreneur spirit,
you know what I mean?
man.
Yeah, so we were out there like hustling Pogs, and I remember thinking like not too long ago, like, dude, where did Pogs come from? Like
where'd you buy
I never
them?
bought any. I just had slammers and I had all this stuff.
I had this conversation. It's like, I don't know where we bought Pogs. Was it Walmart? Was
Yeah,
it,
like Target or something.
I have no idea, but they just
maybe Kids R Us.
They just appeared, and the next thing you know, we had hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But Pogs and Marbles, your album, your upcoming album.
Yeah.
When is it? We don't have a release date for it.
So we're shooting for November 14th for the actual album release.
Okay.
I was
that tentative?
What, the 14th?
The 14th, or like we're going for it?
Just it's the middle of the month. I was gonna do the 25th
for Black Friday.
But I was like, you know what? Like, I want to get people's money before they go and spend it. You know what I mean? And I want people to have something to bump on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I want people to reminisce through these. I feel like the seasons, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, is like super like rememberable like holidays. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of reminisces during these times. So the whole theme of the album is like back then. You know what I mean? Like the good days where we could actually go outside and have fun and not worry about being kidnapped or sold on the black market. And, I mean, it was probably still happening back then, but it was like, I look back at the 90s, bro, and I remember feeling like no worry.
Happiness. That's when I had serotonin in my brain.
Exactly. Right? Yes. And I'm trying to bring that. I'm trying to get a little serotonin release for everybody and just kind of take them back.
So we have this album coming up, dropping hopefully in November 14th or, you know, sometime in November.
Yeah.
Speaking of the business end of things, what is your best platform, or what platform do you upload to that people find you the most? Is it Spotify? Is it YouTube? Is it your Instagram?
I think Spotify is really good for artists, because even if you don't promote yourself to a certain demographic, the certain demographics can find you just through algorithm, right? So
my favorite thing on Spotify is Discover Weekly.
Exactly.
And Discover Weekly I have on every Monday, dude. I'm bumping it to work, and I find majority of my new artists from Discover Weekly.
Yeah, and once you add them to that playlist, they get added onto other playlists. So Spotify is a really big one for us, and we try to make sure that, if anything, we're getting on Spotify, right?
And what's the handle there? What do they type in to find you?
So it's just going to be GreenEyez Loko, or you could type in ReScope Records and you'll be able to find all the artists.
Okay, so they can type in ReScope Records or GreenEyez Loko on Spotify.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's the main one, but we are literally trying to get on every platform.
Is GreenEyez with a Z?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just making
GreenEyez with a Z, and then Loko with a K.
With a K. See, that's important to know.
Yeah.
We're all audio over here, so for the Spotify listeners, we're audio, so we have to tell you.
Yes, definitely.
We'll definitely put those links in the bio here so they can follow you.
For sure.
If they want to follow you on something else, what would it be?
It's GreenEyez Loko on every single social media platform. Sometimes I put dots in there, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
So it's just, you type in GreenEyez with a Z and Loko, and you're going to find me for sure. It's the big dude with long hair. Can't miss me.
Do you post a lot on Facebook or Instagram?
I try to. I'm the type of person where I'm like really in the moment and super passionate about everything I do. So I always don't remember to turn around and take a selfie or a post. You know, I'm kind of just in the moment.
I've seen you go live a few times on Facebook, you know, stuff up.
When I remember.
When you remember.
When I can remember to pull out the camera and hit record, I do. a lot of times I'm just super in the moment. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, should have been there.
Yeah, should have been there.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. The last question I have for you, and we'll wrap things up, is after this album release, like what's next? What are the big plans and goals and dreams? Like where do you see yourself?
Well, after this album, the reason why I waited till November, one of the big reasons is because that case I was fighting in 2020, I get off of probation in the end of October.
You're going to be a free man.
So I'm going to be a free man.
Don't fuck it up again.
No, definitely
Stay
not.
out
I
of
got
there.
way too much riding on this. You know what I mean?
Shit going on right now.
So after this, once I drop this album, we definitely plan on taking the tour. We're going to have a ReScope tour, take all the artists around and promote all of our albums and get that push that's needed. But right now I'm kind of just, trying to hone in on local and Utah. And, of course, back home in California, I got a lot of support and followers back there. But I just can't wait to be able to go and show people what we've been doing.
If people, obviously, we talked about Spotify, and for future stuff or, like, events, if you do, like, concerts or anything, where would they find that information?
ReScopeRecords.com.
So ReScope Records. So you heard it here first, everyone. Follow ReScope Records because that's where we're going to post I guess they're going to post all the things for all our artists.
Yeah, including, so if you go to ReScopeRecords.com, you can actually sign up for like notifications and stuff like that. And we're going to have like merch drops. You can go on there and follow an individual artist. You'll be able to see like our shows, get tickets, all these things just on one shop.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Anything else you want our listeners to know?
Yeah, just so everybody knows, make sure you guys go and follow all these pages that I'm telling you about because in a couple weeks I got a song dropping called That's Dope. And guess what? It's going to be dope.
It's going to be dope. Well, that's it, guys. Well, thank you for being our guest today, man.
I appreciate it.
I know Ko's not here today, but he got to do Skelly's interview. So
he's here in spirit.
So I was like, I'm doing Joey's. So anyways, thanks for being our guest. We appreciate you guys. You guys can find our podcast. We try to drop these every Tuesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram or check the link in the bio. Until next time, guys, peace.
Bang, bang.